America's rise from a largely unknown and ignored landmass to the richest and most powerful country in history began the moment Christopher Columbus forced Europe's eyes westward, setting off a chain of exploration, conflict, ambition, and brutal resilience that reshaped the world long before anyone understood the scale of what it set in motion. His voyages cracked open old maps, triggered fierce competition among empires, and drew wave after wave of settlers. In the year 1492, Columbus set sail under the Spanish flag. Believed he could reach Asia by sailing west, seeking gold and wealth to bring back to Europe. Instead, he stumbled upon a cluster of islands in what is now known as the Caribbean Sea. The native people he encountered were far from the rich civilizations of Asia he expected. Stubbornly, Columbus still called them Indians, even though it was the wrong name, and it stayed that way for a long time. But Columbus was not the first European to reach the shores of North America. Over 400 years earlier, Norse explorers, led by Leif Erikson, had landed in what is now Newfoundland, Canada. Their settlement, Vinland, was brief and forgotten by history. When Columbus arrived, his discoveries launched a wave of European exploration and colonization that reshaped the world. Spain and Portugal, the dominant maritime powers of the era, quickly moved to claim new territories. In 1494, the Treaty of Tordesillas drew an imaginary line down the globe, dividing the non-Christian world between the two nations. Portugal took the route around Africa to India and beyond, while Spain claimed most of the Americas. Spain's eye was fixed on the south, rich in gold, silver, dense indigenous civilizations like the Aztecs and Incas. North America, with its vast forests and colder climates, seemed less promising. While Spain focused on conquering Mexico, Central and South America, England, France, and the Netherlands watched from the sidelines. England sent early expeditions to North America, seeking a foothold. The Roanoke colony in 1585 disappeared mysteriously, becoming America's first lost colony. But in 1607, Jamestown was established in Virginia, the first permanent English settlement. 10 years later, the Pilgrims arrived at Plymouth seeking religious freedom, founding another enduring colony. Meanwhile, France claimed the interior of the continent, establishing New France along the St. Lawrence River and the Mississippi Valley. Less populous than the English colonies, the French allied with Native American tribes to resist British expansion. This rivalry exploded into the French and Indian War, beginning in 1754 and lasting nearly a decade. The war was brutal and costly. Britain's larger population and naval strength eventually defeated France, gaining Canada and most of its North American territories. But victory came at a price. Britain's debt soared, and it turned to its American colonies for repayment, imposing new taxes without colonial representation. This sparked outrage. The colonies, feeling exploited, grew restless. Protests escalated, culminating in rebellion. On July 4, 1776, the 13 colonies declared independence, boldly announcing the birth of a new nation. Yet freedom did not come easily. The Revolutionary War raged for years, with battles fought across the eastern seaboard. Victory came only after a long struggle with the Treaty of Paris in 1783, confirming American independence. The newborn nation was fragile. The Articles of Confederation, the first governing document, left most power with the individual states. The central government was weak, unable to raise taxes or maintain order. The 13 states acted like independent countries, united only in name. Economic turmoil and political instability threatened to unravel the Union. In 1787, the Constitutional Convention drafted a new constitution, creating a strong federal government with checks and balances. It was a delicate compromise between state and national interests. In 1789, George Washington was unanimously elected the country's first president, symbolizing a new era. The United States was still small, confined to the east. To the west and south, Spain held vast territories, while France eyed a return to American power. Napoleon Bonaparte, rising to dominate Europe, claimed Louisiana from Spain, worrying Americans who relied on the Mississippi River for trade. In a bold move in 1803, the U.S. purchased the Louisiana Territory from France for $15 million. The acquisition doubled the size of the young nation, opening millions of acres for settlement and resource extraction. America's population was growing rapidly, nearly doubling every 20 years. Large families, combined with waves of immigration, drove expansion westward. The promise of new lands inspired pioneers to cross the Appalachians and push beyond the Mississippi. The frontier was raw, wild, and full of peril, dense forests, rugged mountains, and vast prairies. But opportunity beckoned. In 1819, America bought Florida from Spain, resolving border disputes and further weakening Spanish control in North America. Just 2 years later, Mexico gained independence from Spain, inheriting vast northern territories including Texas. Mexico encouraged American settlers to populate these lands to secure its hold, but settlers soon outnumbered Mexicans in Texas, and tensions rose. In 1836, Texans declared independence, forming the Republic of Texas. The new republic sought to join the United States, but debates over slavery complicated matters. Texas was a slaveholding territory, and the balance between free and slave states was delicate. In 1845, the United States annexed Texas, igniting conflict with Mexico. The Mexican-American War broke out in 1846. The war was swift and brutal. American forces captured Mexico City in 1847. The Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo ended the war, with Mexico ceding a vast territory stretching from California to Texas for $15 million. The Gadsden Purchase added land in the south, securing a route for a transcontinental railroad. Meanwhile, Britain and the United States peacefully agreed to divide the Oregon Territory along the 49th parallel, completing the nation's stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific. The continent was finally united. In 1856, the Guano Islands Act allowed Americans to claim uninhabited islands. Rich and valuable guano deposits, bird droppings used as fertilizer, extending U.S. reach into the Pacific and Caribbean. The discovery of gold at Sutter's Mill in California in 1848 triggered a massive rush, drawing tens of thousands from around the world. Towns sprang up overnight, and the West blossomed with new opportunity. Yet beneath the prosperity, a deadly crisis loomed: slavery. The northern states had outlawed the institution, viewing it as a grave injustice. The southern economy depended heavily on enslaved labor, particularly in cotton plantations. The nation was divided. Political battles over slavery's expansion into new territories grew heated. When Abraham Lincoln was elected president in 1860 on an anti-slavery platform, southern states feared the end of their way of life. 11 seceded, forming the Confederate States of America. The Civil War erupted in 1861, lasting for 4 brutal years. The war was America's bloodiest conflict, with over 600,000 lives lost. The Union's victory preserved the nation and abolished slavery. Lincoln was assassinated shortly after the war's end, leaving the country to rebuild and heal. Reconstruction brought challenges and setbacks, but set the stage for a united future. In 1867, the United States purchased Alaska from Russia for $7.2 million. The vast frozen land was initially mocked as Seward's folly, but later proved rich in resources. American business interests soon turned to the Pacific. Hawaii, strategically located, attracted entrepreneurs and missionaries. The first president rejected annexation to avoid appearing imperialistic. But fears of foreign powers taking control led to Hawaii's annexation in 1898. At the same time, Cuba struggled against Spanish colonial rule, captured American sympathy. When the USS Maine exploded in Havana Harbor in 1898 under mysterious circumstances, the U.S. declared war on Spain. The Spanish-American War was brief but transformative. The United States defeated Spain, ending its empire in the Americas. America gained control of Cuba, Puerto Rico, Guam, and the Philippines. President William McKinley was assassinated in 1901, and Theodore Roosevelt assumed the presidency. Roosevelt was a dynamic leader, expanding the Navy and aggressively promoting American influence. One of Roosevelt's greatest projects was the Panama Canal. When Colombia refused to allow construction, the U.S. supported Panama's independence movement. Panama agreed to a canal treaty, and construction began. Finished in 1914, the canal revolutionized global trade and military strategy. By the outbreak of World War I, America had transformed from a fledgling republic into a world power. Its economy, military, and global reach were unmatched. This dramatic rise from uncharted wilderness to global empire was shaped by exploration, war, diplomacy, and relentless ambition. America's story is one of triumph and tragedy, a nation constantly pushing boundaries and redefining its destiny. Drop a like, share, and subscribe for more sharp stories about power, knowledge, and destiny. Thank you for watching.